Hey everyone, this is Christopher Luxon, the former CEO of Air New Zealand.
This is John Lee Dumas, the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire.
This is Tracy Ibarra. I'm in Executive Solutions at Dell Technologies.
This is Travis Chappell, founder of Build Your Network. If you are wanting to learn how to embrace change,
To navigate through disruption as a leader,
Then listen to the Leadership is Changing podcast.
The Leadership is Changing podcast.
the Leadership is Changing podcast with my good friend,
my very good friend, Denis Giannoutsos.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsos.
Hey, welcome to the show. Leadership is Changing. What we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Leaders everywhere confront similar obstacles because people are people, but everywhere you go, leaders are overwhelmed, disrupted, and under pressure. They run from email to email, meeting to meeting. Many leaders are not changing quick enough, which means they run the risk of becoming irrelevant and being left behind. The purpose of the show is taking our listeners' leadership to another level by finding their balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. I believe we don't have enough effective leaders in the world today, and if we can get the leaders to step up and lead change, then they can inspire real change. Hey listeners, it's now time to adapt in our fast-moving world, and I want to welcome you listeners to the Ask Denis freestyle episode that happens once a week. I'm asked a question by our listeners, or I share my thoughts, insights, and experiences from working with many leaders around the globe. Hey listeners, if you haven't already checked out the Facebook group or the LinkedIn page, Leadership is Changing. Love to see you come along to those different platforms and be part of the community. Alrighty, today I'm going to talk to you about an interesting topic. The bacon and eggs equation. Wow, what do we mean by that? Leadership is a commitment, not an involvement. You see, we talk about whether you are committed as a leader. It's an interesting question. Some leaders aren't committed. In fact, would you call them being as a leader, or would they be someone like a manager maybe? Well, it's an interesting question, right? So some leaders are hiding. They're hiding behind something like the title that they have. They're hiding behind a mask. It could not be a physical mask, but it might be something they're hiding behind. They're not showing them true self. They're not really committed. It's quite ironic how today we're using and we are wearing masks around the world and to protect ourselves from, of course, the pandemic. Some of them are trying to be something they're not. In fact, I asked the question whether they should be leaders or not. Hey, listeners, it's okay if you don't want to be a leader. Of course you want to be a listener. But some people may not want to be a leader. And what do I mean by that? It's really interesting how some of them fall into leadership by mistake. It's not been a purposeful thing or a deliberate thing. It's been actually by accident. Very good in doing the technical side of things. People look around and go, we need a new leader. Oh, you'll do. Congratulations. You're the brand new leader. Go for it. Good luck and see you in 12 months' time in your performance review. Now, for some people, they either swim or they sink because they haven't been developed as a leader. For some of them, they miss having those hands-on technical time and doing the things that they love doing. Now, for a lot of leaders, some of them are not even making decisions. In fact, some of them don't even have opinions on certain things, and some don't even show up. Now, that's an interesting one. They may be physically there, but may not be showing up. There was one executive I was working with, and they had a survey done. The whole executive team had the survey done. And the feedback he got was the fact that he was actually adding no value to meetings. In fact, he was seen as being an empty suit in a seat. Imagine getting that feedback. Imagine getting the feedback whereby you're just there to make up the numbers rather than adding any value. So, are you just involved or are you fully committed to doing the role? Even in meetings is another example, right, whereby you can be fully committed. Some of them not even there for their employees. They're not even there to stand up for their employees. They're not even there to give their employees a voice, or they may not even be there to hear their employees. So the question is, as a leader, are you committed or involved? Are you on autopilot, hiding, just doing things on a daily basis, just day in and day out? Or are you committed, where you're confident, deliberate, and in control? See, I'm going to give you a little quick story here, or an analogy, which is quite interesting. It's around the title, The Bacon and Eggs Equation. The difference between the pig and the chicken if you think about bacon and eggs. The pig is committed. That's where we get our bacon. The chicken is involved. That's where we get the eggs. There is an obligation in being a leader. You need to commit to doing things and being that leader and being the best leader that you can be. Making decisions at times may be difficult, but you're going to go and you're committed to doing it. Taking people on the journey with you is really important by you developing them, by you taking them on the strategy of the organization and taking them on the whole journey where the actual organization is going to go. How you show up each and every day is really important because you see, are you coming in there with a committed attitude or the one of being involved? Because a committed attitude is going to be a totally different person. In fact, in meetings, as I said before, they're going to be very active and they're asking questions, being involved and wanting to know things and participating. They have a vision that is very big. The fact they have the bigger picture and they share that with people to help them on that journey. They bring energy as a leader to the organization and to their role and to themselves every single day. An energy that is real, authentic. Because you see, if it's not real and authentic, people can see right through that as well. They build the right people around them. They have the right team of people around them. And today we are seeing boards and we're seeing the CEO asking, the boards are asking, do we have the right CEO? The CEO is asking, and the boards, are we in the right business today? Do we have the right organizational structure to actually support that business? And then, do we have the right leadership in place to actually make it and execute it on a daily basis? Now, if the answer is no, then they need to work out what they need to do. Now, what happens if the leadership isn't right? There'd be spots or areas that may not be right, but there'd be others that are okay. And is okay, or do they have to be great? Or are there some gaps that we can help to develop them to move them to the next level? Building or making sure you've got the right people around you is key to helping a leader be committed. You do everything you can as a leader if you're committed to being what I call match fit. That's right, match fit. Physically, mentally, and emotionally, are you in the right spaces to actually make sure that you're doing everything you can? Because if you're not physically fit, just being mentally fit's not good enough. You have to have all three. And you have to be physically, mentally, and emotionally fit. And I mean, not okay and having being able to do a fit. You see, going and playing a football game, a netball game, or going and doing something in life, let's say you're going up for a hike up in the hills. Match fit versus just being fit are two different things. Match fit is where you're actually up at your top level and the energy and everything you're bringing, you're actually going out there the extra mile, if I can put it that way. You're taking things to a new level. My question to you is, are you match fit? You see, you bring your A game along to it, and it's awesome to be able to see that. So the question here I've got for you listeners today is this. Are you committed or just involved? Leadership is a commitment, not an involvement. I'm going to really encourage you to step back and think about that. I want you to reflect on what I'm sharing there. Because see, the thing here is this. Whatever you're doing as a leader, now it could be a project, could be an initiative, could be about your team, could be about you and your own development. Are you really committed to doing it and moving it forward with heaps of energy? And so then you can be the best you can be. Or are you going to be involved and just be there? Here's another great analogy that I talk to a lot of leaders about. If you think about it, you being at a sporting event or a concert, are you one of the band players on stage playing in that concert? Or are you one of the 80,000 people in the crowd watching? Do you want to be one of the players or do you want to be one of the crowd watching? The players are the ones who are committed. The crowd are involved. Now, the thing here is, I know that even people in the crowd there's going to be committed people in the crowd and there's going to be people just involved. What you as a leader can do today is ask yourself that question all the time. Am I committed as a leader? And if not, what do I need to do to ensure that I am committed? As I said earlier on, right at the beginning, who are leaders who may not want to be leaders. And that's okay. If you don't, please say so. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means that you don't want to do that role, but maybe you should go and do something you're really, really good at and really passionate about. Because if you want to do something half-pied or do something that's not fully there, you're involved, but you're not really, really committed, you're not going to be bringing into the A game and you're not going to be able to take the organization forward and your team is going to suffer as well. So please understand if you are committed and put the things in place to help you move forward, to take you and your organization and your business forward, which is really exciting. Hey, listeners, what we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Change is incredibly scary, especially with the unknown and unfamiliar territory. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing. Hey, look out for the episodes as they're being released. Download them, have a listen, put a review and a rating. Feel free to share them with your friends, your family, and your network. Hey, if there's any feedback you'd like to give me about the show, or if you have a question for the Ask Denis Freestyle episode, send me an email, dennis@leadingchangepartners.com. Listeners, it's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsas. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.